in a very exciting parking lot, which is known for its great availability of parking and often the overwhelming presence of parking tickets on the cars in this lot. So I don't know if that was why we chose it, but I'm glad to be here. This is the epicenter of people wanting to park and us needing to enforce parking ordinance. And obviously, we're not announcing any major changes in parking policy. That is going along. I will say it's a very tough job. We have some parking checkers here. I was asking some of the managers the numbers on this. They get about 30,000 complaints a year. So for all the parking checkers we have in the city of Milwaukee, there's 30,000 people a year that are happy to see them because they've said my driveway is blocked or somebody's parked in front of my business and they won't leave. Please get out here. But they write about 600,000 tickets. So that ratio is not great. 30,000 people happy to see you, 600,000 people not happy to see you. So it's a very difficult job and they do it well. And I really want to thank them for their presence and what they continue to do for the city. Their job is, obviously, it's a revenue generator for the city. It's not the main intention of the tickets. The main intention of the tickets is to create parking availability. But there is expenses. It costs us money to pay them to do their jobs and to keep their fleet going. And it costs us about $40,000 to customize the right-hand steer Jeeps. And then it costs us a lot to put gas in those Jeeps and even more to maintain those Jeeps because they're so customized. These are a little more expensive up front, but we expect within just a couple of years it will pay itself back, and over the life of the vehicle, over the decade or so that the vehicles last, there will be a significant cost savings to the city of Milwaukee, and there will be a significant improvement to the world's climate and environment, obviously, by going electric. So I really want to applaud Tom Wozniak and Rich Dahlhoff and Jeff Polensky from the Department of Public Works, and also Mayor Barrett here for taking the lead and taking us into the 21st century, which will be cleaner and for city operations more cost effective. Mayor Barrett?
Sure. Thank you, Alderman Kovac. Good morning. Well, summer will come, I promise. Summer will come. We're happy to be here this morning, though. I think as you look around the nation and you look at what different communities are doing to try to address our sustainability issues, climate change, making sure that we're up with the latest technology. It's fun to be a cutting edge city, and that's what Milwaukee is right now, because we are the only city in the Midwest that will be using the vehicles that are behind us right now. Here are two fully electric vehicles, Go for EV as they are called. 4 of these vehicles will be joining our fleet of 52 parking enforcement vehicles. This latest initiative continues our commitment for Milwaukee to be an innovative city focused on sustainability. The models behind us are also used in Santa Monica, Portland, and Berkeley. But as I mentioned, we are the only city in the Midwest using a fully electric model from this manufacturer, Westward Industries. I'd like to thank Eric Burmeister from Westward for making the trip to Wisconsin from Georgia to join us on this exciting day. Last year, each parking enforcement Jeep in Milwaukee burned about 1,100 gallons of fuel. Think about that, 1,100 gallons of fuel in each Jeep. And at an average cost of $2.30 per gallon, and we get a little discount on it, that's about $2,500 a year in fuel costs. This means we will be saving around $10,000 a year from the 4 fully electric vehicles in our fleet. The Go for EV is designed for stop and go travel, making it ideal for parking enforcement here in the 3rd Ward, along Brady Street, in the 3rd Ward, and downtown as well. As you can see, the vehicle looks different, and there's a reason for that. It's not a common vehicle, and as such, it needs to be recognized by people because we want to make sure that people know that our parking enforcement ambassadors are out there. Because of its size, it's less of a disruption on traffic when it's stopped. I want to join Alderman Kovac in thanking the people who work in this department. This is a challenging job. All of us, every single one of us, is not ecstatic when we see a parking enforcement vehicle next to our car. And we understand that, and we understand that you have a very difficult job to do, and I want you to know how much we all appreciate the work that you guys do. I also want to point out, again, with these vehicles, its size and its design also make it good for our parking enforcement officers, the people who are in them all day. Because it's extremely easy to enter and exit the vehicle, its design greatly reduces operator fatigue. To recap, this city wants to have less of a carbon footprint, less of a physical footprint, and less physical wear and tear for our operators. That we accomplish with these new fully electric vehicles. I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner of Public Works Jeff Polinsky to talk more about the importance of the vehicles and the importance of parking enforcement. Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm sure there will be a few drivers out there that will be unhappy to see us become more efficient and more effective in our parking enforcement, but parking enforcement really is a critical piece to a good quality of life in the city of Milwaukee. It's our residents. Our residents are depending upon, having, the availability of their open driveways, making sure that there aren't people parked in front of those driveways. Obviously, making sure that there's access for emergency vehicles to those residents, fire and police both. And the businesses also are. It's very important that we're maintaining a good turnover rate and keeping up with the rules of the enforcement on the rules of the road to make sure that we're providing good access to the businesses that have set up along our roadways. And then also, pedestrian friendly, it kind of goes hand in hand with good parking enforcement. We want to make sure that people aren't parked too close to our crosswalks or over our crosswalks in some cases, so that people are able to cross the streets safely and to be able to access the businesses, but also utilize the public transportation, our buses and our bus system and throughout the city. So, it is very important that we maintain a good parking enforcement throughout the city. So I'm very, very happy that we're moving towards some new vehicles here to not only, improve things for enforcement side, but also improve for the quality of life of the operators that'll be in our parking enforcement officers that'll be operating these vehicles. So with that, I'd like to bring Eric Brewmeister up to speak a little bit about the vehicle.
Well, thank you. And yeah, this is a little bit cooler than it is in Georgia. But I'm actually an original Minnesota native, so this kind of reminds me of home. So yeah, I have to just say this while I'm on Wisconsin soil. Go Vikes! So yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, thank you to.
Why don't you show off your Super Bowl rings at the same time?
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Kovac and Commissioner Polinsky and Mayor Barrett for really welcoming me to your great city. I'm joined here by a representative of our distributor, right there, Mr. Tom Barrett from EJ Equipment. They delivered these vehicles to the city. Really, on behalf of all of the hardworking employees at Westward Industries and EJ Equipment, we are very pleased to be adding the city of Milwaukee to our growing list of customers. These customers recognize the advantages of utilizing a task-specific vehicle, a vehicle that is designed and built for the task at hand, which is parking enforcement. These vehicles have proven greater operator efficiency, vehicle performance, reliability, and sustainability. We're looking forward to working with everyone within the parking enforcement team here and expanding our footprint throughout the city as we move forward years after years. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, again, you can see it's pretty straightforward. We've got some new nifty vehicles that are electric vehicles that I think everyone is going to start to recognize. They are better for our environment, they're better for our operators, and they're better for the city. So we're really excited to have them in operation, ready to hit the streets today. If there's any questions, we're happy to answer any questions.
Do the drivers require any special training versus the gas?
I'm assuming that they don't, but I'll let any special training.
It's not really any special training. I am going to be spending quite a bit of time with the operators here. It's no different than if you were to go buy any other electric vehicle versus a gas vehicle. It's a different propulsion system. It's really just being taught how that differs, and it's once people realize it, it's actually a lot more intuitive than what people would think. But yeah, it's not rocket science by any means. So yeah.
Before you go, is this a winter vehicle?
Absolutely. You know, as the mayor's touted, this is the first real Midwest city that's adopted this performance. But we have these vehicles in gas propulsion and starting to be in the electric in like the mountains. Missoula, Montana uses these. Aspen, Colorado, in the gas version. Fargo, North Dakota. Minneapolis, Minnesota. So yeah, they definitely can be used in the in all seasons.
How will the winter temperatures affect the battery life?
You know, we use lithium iron phosphate batteries that are self-contained within the cabin of the vehicle. Those batteries themselves are not very susceptible to extreme heat or cold, because heat can be just as bad on batteries as cold. With those technologies, that's why you're seeing more and more electric vehicles all across being used in these cold weather climates. A lot of our competitors are using them now. You see Teslas, you see Volts, you see all these different things out there. So, yeah.
And how does the charging abilities or capabilities of the vehicles or the batteries affect the use? I mean, you have a fleet of them for parking checking. Parking checking goes on 24 hours a day. They can't run 24 hours a day, right? How long does it take to charge? How long do they run on the charge?
Right. So these vehicles can be charged off of 110 volt or 220. With a 110 volt, it does take longer to charge if they were completely depleted, with a range of about 100 miles. With being completely depleted, it'd take actually about 12 hours. Okay. With 220, it'd take half that time. Usually in our deployments, no one's ever driving the full 100 miles on that. So really, overnight charging is not an issue. I know Thomas is planning on having these deployed, you know, at different stages, so that to accommodate for that charging.
And Jeff, is this going to be a transition, or is this just a pilot program, or will we see all electric in 5-10 years?
Well, I think, you know, certainly there's going to be, you know, a period of time where we're going to be operating these new vehicles and get to know them a little better. But, you know, the idea is, you know, that we would like to see a little bit of a transition over to an electric vehicle. So let's see how they perform, and you know, we'll go from there.
Just to be clear, are there 2 or 4 of those?
4 of them.
And,
We don't want to take up too many parking spots.
Alderman Kovac, you mentioned the cost savings over the life of the vehicle. Do you have an estimate on how much that will be?
Well, I'll just be repeating what Tom told me privately, so he could give you more. Tom Wozniak, our parking director, but he just on fuel, we're expecting $2,500 a year in savings, just on fuel, and then the maintenance. We expect we won't know that probably till the second half of the life of the vehicle, but it's the cost. It's costly to maintain a customized vehicle, which the current Jeeps are. Obviously, this is also somewhat customized, but it's actually built from scratch to be like this, as opposed to the Jeeps, which are generally designed in one way and then we have to change them. So he can maybe talk in more detail about how much maintenance costs we expect.
Good morning, Tom Wozniak, the Parking Services Manager with the City of Milwaukee. Yes, so we do foresee about $2,500 a year in savings for fuel efficiency. The maintenance, of course, yet to be determined because it will depend on a variety of factors, but we do anticipate significant savings over time. Our current Jeep fleet that you commonly see throughout the city is a right-hand steer vehicle, so that takes a significant amount of work to customize that. And then anytime there's a significant amount of work in a really unique type of vehicle like that, there are ongoing maintenance related costs that go along with that, not only initially but for the life cycle of the vehicle itself. So we look forward to those being reduced and minimized with this vehicle. We do foresee this being the vehicle that will serve our needs moving forward. So of course we have to learn them, like the commissioner said, see how they serve us, which we anticipate will be very well, and everything we've heard and seen from this product would suggest that. So we're very much looking forward to that, and we think you will see more and more of these vehicles throughout the coming years, and we look forward to, as much as we can get to, a fully electric fleet at some point.